A year ago at Fully Charged Live in Australia, I got to check out the Cupra Born electric hot hatch, which I personally didn't think was much of a hot hatch at all. I did like the car, but I thought it was overpriced. It wasn't fast enough for a so-called hot hatch. But now Cupra have made some pretty big changes. The Cupra Born EV, the new hot hatch, the VZ, actually is a really nice electric car that you might want to check out. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Cupra Born. Actually, I like Cupra as a brand. Don't know why, but Cupra sell EVs in Australia. Volkswagen don't. So, hey, kudos to Cupra. To be fair, they are owned by the Volkswagen Group for getting the EV thing going on here. The 2025, as in to be sold later this year, Cupra Born VZ electric hot hatch has just been unveiled. It's a better version of the existing Cupra Born electric car. It's got more power, it's got more range, it's got a better design, it's got better features, it's just better. It's also got a 40% increase in power. It now has 240 kilowatts, so over 300 horsepower, and 545 newton meters of torque, making it a pretty legit hot hatch. You'd think with all that power and torque it'd be fast, but it's relatively heavy. It has quite a large battery pack. It has stiffer suspension though, retuned steering, a bigger battery offering a longer driving range, new styling, and a new infotainment system with illuminated touch-sensitive controls. Bit controversial, the touch-sensitive controls in EVs, but apparently these ones are better than the previous generation. It is a response to criticisms, which came from myself and many other journalists, and areas of improvement with the current Born that, obviously were there. One of them was, it wasn't a hot hatch. I mean, they called it a hot hatch, but it wasn't very fast. It was, in fact, relatively not fast. Now the new version is quite a bit better. It'll do 0 to 62 miles an hour or 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. Top speed is 200 kilometers an hour, and it has a single rear electric motor. Now, hot hatches rarely are rear-wheel drive, and I think that's one of the cool features of this car. The interior is quite nice as well. It's got really nice bucket seats. You can choose to get 4 bucket seats or 2 bucket seats in the front and three normal seats in the back. So it's kind of a nice feature. Cupra said this next generation is something we are looking at very closely, and apparently it's likely to be in showrooms in 2025. Powering the Born VZ is, like I said, that single electric motor, 240 kilowatts, about 310 horsepower. It's a big upgrade, 40% more power, 75% more torque. The previous model had only 170 kilowatt and 310 newton meters, and because it's quite heavy, it weighed just over 2,000 kilograms. It wasn't very fast. It could do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 62 miles an hour in only 7 seconds. So people weren't really going, that's a hot hatch I want to buy. And you've got cars like the MG4, their electric hot hatch, all-wheel drive, $65,000, about the same price as the Cupra Born in Australia, which has about double the power. But in a lot of ways, this Cupra Born is a very nice electric car. It's got a really big battery pack, which will give you a ton of range. 79 kilowatt hour pack. It's 2 kilowatt hours bigger, but I believe it might have a slightly better energy density. But anyway, range has increased. It now has 570 kilometers of WLTP range. So what's that? It's well over 330 miles of range. Now, it won't be cheap. We don't know prices yet, but don't expect it to be cheap. Charging speed is one area that could have been improved, but it hasn't been. It has 170 kilowatt DC fast charging, which enables you to charge the battery from 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. It's got 11 kilowatt AC charging. Now, the charging speed is not bad, but I just think it could be a bit better. Cupra says the VZ gets better, sportier suspension for better handling, new rear springs, dampers, revised front dampers, updated anti-roll bars, and a recalibrated DCC Sport adaptive suspension, plus new steering hardware and software for a sportier feel, which is nice. Brake feel apparently is better. Now, when you're driving an EV, I think one of the great things is regen braking. So I personally don't really pay too much attention to brakes in EVs usually, unless it's for a hot hatch and you want to drive fast. You want to take it to the hills, the mountains, twisty roads, and drive quick. The VZ can be differentiated by a new dark forest and midnight black colors. Now, this dark forest color looks really, really good. I'm a big fan. 20-inch wheels. Now, if you were able to get smaller wheels, like let's say you said to Cupra guys, I don't want 20-inch, I want 19-inch wheels, or maybe aftermarket, you did it yourself and then you sold the existing wheels, you'd probably get closer to 600 kilometers of range, so closer to 400 miles of range. The tires are quite narrow though. They're 215 millimeter Bridgestone tires. So you're going to lose traction in this car very easily. If that's your intention, you're going to have a lot of fun. If it's not, you'd be frustrated a little bit probably. It's got a fair bit of power, but 215 millimeter tires are quite narrow tires for the amount of power and torque that this car has. That's one thing that really stood out to me. I was like, hang on a minute, good power, more than 320 horsepower. Whoa, 215 mil tires at the rear. It's got a single motor at the rear. That seems to me to be under-tired. So the rim is massive. 20-inch wheels is a pretty big wheel for a hatchback like this. Really big wheels, but then really narrow. It's kind of a strange combination. Anyway, inside it gets a 13-inch infotainment screen with illuminated volume and air temperature controls and new software. You can get 3 levels of regen braking to choose from. While you're driving, you have actual paddle shifters on the steering wheel, which is a bit like Hyundai and Kias. They have as well. You use the paddle shifters to decide how much you want the regen to go. So 1, 2, 3 stages. That's quite a nice feature. Previously, there was only 1 regen braking mode. That was it. But now they've got 3, so that's a good change. Standard fitment is Cupra's sports bucket seats. They're trimmed in like a suede type material. And Cupra says improvements in the chassis setup now allow 5-seat Cupra Borns to be optioned with a sunroof. Anyway, other new interior upgrades include an optional 10-speaker, 425-watt Sennheiser sound system. And there's apparently other features like an updated travel assist system, which combines adaptive cruise control and lane centering. It also includes improvements for driving on poorly marked roads. It can help the driver change lanes automatically if you want to. Now, looking at the seats for me, I'm a big fan. I think they look really, really nice. There's a fair few other features here. You've got 360-degree camera, updated traffic sign recognition technology, parking assist, door exit warning. Yeah, it's got plenty of features. Really nice car. Would you want to buy the existing Cupra Born when you know this one's just around the corner? No, probably not unless you get a big discount. The new version is way better than the old version, and I quite like it. What are your thoughts? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.